Welcome to Friday Fundamentals. My name is Brent Heineman. I'm going to be taking you through some of the new features in SoftPlan 2018, which is our new release, just released in the last couple of months. It's been a really great release. We've had some really great feedback from our customers, and we've tried to implement a lot of those features into our new version. What we're going to go through today is some of the main features. We're going to start with the auto basement feature. So what do we have here is a drawing that a simple drawing comprised of your exterior walls, 2x6 brick walls, some partition walls. In the garage area, we have used garage walls. On the garage walls, these garage walls have the option of not being insulated. They could have a different drywall on the inside, that sort of thing. So we keep them separate from your home walls. And you can tell the difference by they have a lighter inside surface on the stud face. And likewise, on the wall between the house and the garage, we use a garage partition wall at that point. So it has the option for a different drywall on either side. So what we do with the auto basement feature is we actually look for the presence of a garage door. So to do that, I'm going to add in the garage door. I've drawn most of the other doors in, but I'm going to now add in a garage door. We'll put in a couple. So we'll put one here, and we'll put one here. That will tell us that this is actually a garage, and that's going to have an impact on the wall heights for the auto basement. It's going to have an impact on whether we do the cutouts for the garage doors and the man door that might be somewhere else in this floor plan. So we're going to also add one of those in. So I'll go to the back. I'll put in a country, say 36 door. I'm just going to pick OK. I'm just going to drop it back in this area back here. Okay. So we have our living space, we have our garage space. I have not yet put a floor system on my floor plan. So this is the point at which you would save your drawing as a main floor. And then you go to the model option at the top, pick on auto basement, and we're going to ask you a few questions. First of which, don't be thrown off by this. I intentionally did not put a reference point on my drawing prior to doing this for you. It's going to tell you that you don't have a reference point on the drawing. Do you want to add one? So you say yes. What you do then is you go to Draw, Reference. You're going to be looking for the circular reference circle. The circular reference circle aligns the drawings both horizontally, like up and down on the screen, left and right on the screen, as well as vertically in the 3D world, so that it will make our first floor sit on top of our foundation. It will make our second floor sit on top of our first floor. It's a good idea to put one in. That's what the circular reference point does. The other three will work laterally, so it'll move the drawing side to side or front to back, but it will not move it up and down. So put the circular reference point somewhere on a corner that will be constant between all the floors if possible, or at least between the two that you're putting it on right now. So these two right here, I'm going to drop it right on that corner, and then I'm going to go back to model again. I'm going to go to auto basement, and now it's going to ask me some questions. What do I want to make the name of the new drawing? So I can make it basement, or I can change it. That's just the default. The basement walls, meaning the full height basement walls. So if you don't live in an area where you do a full basement, don't worry about that. Just that's what this is here for. So we can have 8-foot walls, we can have 4-foot walls. If you do a crawl space, so be it. It's going to feed off of the house walls at this point, the typical 2x6 brick, 2x6 stucco, whatever you have in that area, the insulated walls. Okay, so in that case, let's say I wanted to change that over. I can change that to a 10-inch concrete wall there. In the garage, I'm going to make them concrete 8 inches thick because I have a thinner wall. I'm also going to make them only 4 feet high versus 8 feet. And when it says garage slab, that's the offset down from the top of the foundation wall down to where the slab is sitting. So that's also going to impact our cutouts. We're going to cut out a 12-inch cutout into the foundation where those doors sit if it says it's a foot down for this to the slab. Okay. All right. So I'm going to pick OK. And it's going to ask me if I want to save any changes. I'm going to say yes. And you can see the drawing that we are left with. So I just want to get something clear here. Auto basement isn't going to be everything to you. It's going to get you a long way towards your final floor plan, though, for your foundation or your basement. Is it going to catch every instance? Not necessarily, but it's going to get you an awfully an awful long way towards being a final drawing. So what we've done with this is we've converted our walls over. We've left in any windows in the house that you may want to put in a window directly below another window just for symmetry. So that's why they're left there, but they're easily erased just by clicking on them with an erase or doing a block erase, okay? So let's say I want to take those out across the front, I can do so. I'm going to flip into profile mode just so you can see what else we've done is we've taken those windows that were, I think they were 60 inches high, and what we've done is we've reduced them so they are just, I think we've gone with a 12-inch high. Yep, we've gone to a 1 inch or 1 foot opening. We've pushed it right to the top of the wall because we don't have a header above it, and that's what you would manually have to do yourself. So we're going to leave those windows in, but we've reduced their size. You'll also notice that in the garage area where the garage doors were and where the man door was at the back, we've also added a cut. So those are cutouts out of the concrete, a cross opening that allows us to drop the other openings down inside. One of the byproducts that you will notice is that when we align the walls, we go with the default alignment, and it's just a simple matter of moving that partition wall over. Based on surfaces, that's how we align these things. We don't ask you those questions. We make some assumptions that brick will align with the concrete, or the concrete aligns with the brick, and the concrete will align with the structural elements on a siding wall. All right, so that's just a quick fix on that piece. And what else we can do with this is we also added into your model stack. So you had your main floor there already. We've already added the basement in below it. And I'm going to take you back to your main floor now, and we're going to drop into profile mode on that one as well. You'll notice that we've automatically dropped the garage doors over here and the man door in the back into those cross openings. You'll also notice that I had put some windows in the garage. Those were left out of the foundation or basement drawing intentionally. If we see a shorter wall, like the 4-foot walls that we see there, they will be eliminated from the foundation because you wouldn't normally put your windows there. All right, so we've made some assumptions, and I think you'll find that it takes you a long way towards finishing off your foundation drawing. We've also left out all the interior walls, so you didn't have to go in and erase those yourself. Okay, the 4-foot walls are out here, and then you can simply go through and you can do your step walls to get this to where you need it to be. All right, so that's the auto basement feature. The other piece of this is if we drop into floor system mode, you'll see that we've already put in a slab into this area. So you have a non-structural 4-inch slab, and it's sitting down low at the top of the footings. You've got this one over here, and it is sitting at 6'8" up. So you add the 4 inches onto that, that takes you up to 7 feet. That leaves you 1 foot short of the top of the walls. So it's exactly where we asked it to be. All right, so that's all done for you. So that is the auto basement feature, and I'm just going to pop us into 3D. You'll notice in 3D that our ground is still sitting down low. That's because we haven't actually put a floor system into our main floor yet. That's easily done by just dropping into here. I'm just going to move my GoToMeeting dialog out of the way and get to floor system. And in here, if I just for the interest of time, I'm just going to do an auto trace in the living space and do a quick cleanup on that. Let's pop us back into 3D, and you'll see that the auto horizon then comes up to its predefined level. It's whatever it is, 6 inches down from the top of the wall. All right. So that gives you a quick overview of the auto basement feature. I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything in there. I think we got it all. I also wanted to show you our new live schedule. So we're going to drop this into drawing mode. And I'm going to go to our notes, and we'll go to opening schedule, and I'll drop one over here. You can add whatever you want to the schedule here. That hasn't really changed. And you pick OK. I'm going to move this over a little bit closer just so we can keep an eye on both at the same time. Now, when this is gray, it's it's doing a recalculation. So I'm going to go to draw now. I'm going to go to opening, and let's say we pick on a different opening, and I drop that in, and I pick OK, and I'm going to do a quick cleanup. So there's my sliders there, and if I was to go to, let's draw in one of these, picture awning. If I drop that down here, you should see it actually. It'll go gray, and then it'll add that item back into the list. So there it is sitting in that spot there. Okay, so if you change quantities, if you're erasing, you simply take an item out. When it goes gray, it's just doing the recalculation. That is a live schedule. Now to see this a little bit closer, if I go in and I edit the schedule, you'll see here that I have the options here for what the table will look like and so on. Schedule properties in here, this is where it says it's a live schedule. If I want to make it an edited schedule, it will no longer update, but I can go in and I can make changes to the schedule on the fly. And so if I'm very close to the end of the project and I know I need to add something in, I don't want it to update on the actual drawing or on the schedule to correspond to each other, this is where I can change it over to an edited schedule and modify it as I need to. All right, so if you need to make notes on it, that's where you do that. Okay, so that's a new feature of 2018, the ability to generate your schedules live, and you can see that as you're adding your items to your drawing. All right, there's a lot of other options in here, so that if the opening isn't one that you would count in soft list, you can not have it list on your schedule. So if you're a remodeler, that's something that you would want to do. If you only want to show the openings on exterior walls or the openings on interior walls, there again might be useful if you're doing a remodel and you're only working on the inside. It'll only show you what you need. It also has the ability to show you items that are only on this particular drawing or items that are on all of the drawings that you have stacked up in the model at that time. Okay, so those are all options you have with the live schedules. Okay, one other item that kind of hasn't been noted heavily, but it's a good one to make you aware of. I'm just going to quickly draw a deck out the back here. With our decks, we've also had the ability to add the parting boards, but we've added to this. So I'm going to, first of all, I'm going to edit this deck edge. I'm going to give it a deflection of, say, let's see what 6 feet looks like. That's not too bad. Okay. So in previous versions, you weren't able to add a parting board to the edge of a curved deck. That's been enhanced now, so you can actually do that. So you can go to deck edge, and you just click, and that will add them in to the edges. Not sure I grabbed that edge. Yeah, I did. And you can then also come in here and go to your parting boards, and you can put in curved parting boards. So that kind of came along with the ability to add one to the curved edge. And with all the composite decks now and all the swoopy edges and stuff, it was a necessity to be able to put those on, and that was a limitation of previous versions. So I'm going to go to start end radius just so you can see how this works. I'm going to unlock my cursor there, pick there, and just deflect to there. So this will also give you the ability to put designs into your deck. Now, right now, I've got all the decking boards running in the same direction. Just of note, if it was something you wanted to do that you wanted to change the direction of any of your boards in the different sections or make them individual, because this is something you can do in 3D. You can actually assign different colors to these as well, different textures. What you need to do is right-click on this and do an explode item, and then right-click again and go to the deck surface and explode that again, and you're going to see that I get additional little triangles. The yellow ones will indicate the decking, and the decking reference edges. So when you see one of those, like this one here, I can edit the deck surface, edit the edge. I can change the decking angle to 45, and that will give me the ability to manipulate that particular section separate from the others. Okay, so same thing over here. If I come in, I go to deck surface, edit the edge, make that the reference edge, and change that to 45. That'll allow me to manipulate these individually. Okay, so just something that might not be as easy to find as some of the other features, but something that's very useful for you to be able to do. All right, also want to take a look at transition walls. So I'm going to take a look. I'm going to erase a couple items off this side wall here. Let's pop into 3D real quick. So you can see there's our deck there. And I'm just going to swing us down into this area here. Spin it there. All right. And what we're going to do is I'm going to put some breaks in this. You can insert a break with the tools, or you can just do a part erase. Whoop. Yep. And I'm going to pull some dimensions off of those. So I'm going to pull an extension off. Schedule out of there, and let's run a dimension through these just so we have some spacings. Edit this one, let's make it 8 feet. Repeat that change, and we're left with whatever we're left with. All right, now I want to edit this wall. Now, when you're in a wall, one of the easiest ways to get into the definition is actually just click on definition down there, or you can go into your system options and your drawing options and take a look for the define wall option there and modify it. I just wanted to bring your attention to the transition material height option that we have in here. So this one in particular, it is not a transition wall, it is just a standard wall. And so this is not checked. So what you can do is edit this wall. And if you change the brick wall over to your 2x6 brick and siding wall, okay, I'm just going to align the brick with the brick when I'm changing these walls over. And I'm going to do a repeat edit of those. Okay, so now when we're in 3D, you'll see that we have 4 sections of wall. They're all half height brick. Well, it's about 3 feet of brick and then 5 feet of siding. So now when I edit one of these walls, and I can do that right out here in 3D as well, I go into the definition, you'll see that we do have a transition material height defined on this particular wall. It's 36 inches. That doesn't mean it has to stay there. That's where the default is when you first draw this wall. Okay, so that's just something that's new and been added to this. So what you do then is when you're editing one of these walls, you come into the transition tab, and that's where you can change this. So I can say that this is going to be 2 feet, and that will drop the transition material, meaning the top of the brick, down to 2 feet. Same thing here. I'm going to make this one 4 feet. I'm going to make this one 6 feet, and so on. Okay. If you don't want to see all the corner boards showing, that's simply a matter of come into your options here and turn off your corner boards. One of the other options that you should be aware of, those of you who work with multiple companies where you're doing work where they don't necessarily have the same system options, something we've added to version 2018 is under your system options In 2016, you would have your system library and just your system options available here. So under system options, you've got load system options and save system options. So this allows you to save a copy of your system options so that later on you can load it up. So if you're working with a particular company and they use a different set of system options, meaning anything you set up in this area, this will give you that option that you can flip it in and use that when you're working with that company. All right. I did want to take a quick look at path tracing. Just to get to that, I'm just going to pop us into 3D real quick. And actually, before we do that, let's throw a roof on this. Zoom this up. And I'm going to trace a roof over this area. And we can do an add roof on this one here. There we go. Okay, so the other thing I haven't done on this drawings is I did not make my walls the same height in my garage, so that's why you can see a step up here. That's something you would do if you're finishing off these drawings. We're going to pop this back into 3D real quick and spin this around. There we go. Oops. You also notice something we've added into 2018 is within 3D you have the apply gable option. That's available in the drawing as well. I can right click on something and I can say apply gable just by doing that. But I can also do that now in the 3D. So that's another feature that's useful. So you just come into roof, you go to apply gable, click on it, and we pop that up for you. And we'll just pop one over here too. All right, so you can see how that works. And we're good. Now, path tracing, if you're taking a look at some of the 3D features, path tracing is one of the biggest things we've added to the features in 2018. It takes our ray tracing to another level. Ray tracing makes some assumptions. Ray tracing does take a little bit of time. Path tracing will take longer because path tracing actually traces the lights as they bounce off of different surfaces, and every surface absorbs a little bit of light, and eventually it will deplete to nothing. But the path tracing actually takes it to the level where it's actually tracing all of those lines, and it does take time, but you will see through the results that it's well worth it. I find it quite useful on the interiors. It's also good on the exteriors. What you will want to do on the exteriors, I will show you in a moment, is to turn off your indirect lights on exteriors. If you have like blue sky, that sort of stuff, because it does tend to pick that up. But we are going to take us over from textured mode into ray trace mode. That's the first step. You need to be in ray trace mode. You have to realize that when you hit ray trace, it does take a little bit of time. If you're watching the regeneration, it's still sitting on stop. We haven't seen anything actually happen yet, and then it'll start to draw to the screen. Each of those little boxes is one of your cores on your machine, generating that little piece of the rendering. So that's why it can take a little bit of time. This is its first pass through, so it's going to regenerate this. It has a softer appearance than your textured mode. It does treat the lights a little bit differently, as you can see. It's a little bit more realistic that way. So if at any point you want to stop, you just hit the stop button. But you do need to be in ray traced mode. Then you can come up to your options, go to your mode options, and in this area, under lighting, kind of hidden in here is a radio button called path tracing. So you click on path tracing. I've got indirect lighting turned off at the moment. It may be on by default. It calculates the number of bounces of the indirect lights as they would bounce off of those surfaces. So I have it turned off because I'm doing an exterior. And with that path tracing, I'm just going to do it. I'm not going to take it for very long before we stop it, but you will see a little bit of a difference in how it generates here. So immediately you can see on just the windows alone, a little bit of a speckle there. It looks a little bit grainy. It's moving a little bit faster, but it's going to make multiple passes. So it's just going to keep going and going and going until I actually stop it. What you will do with the path trace, though, is I'm going to stop this real quick. You're going to come up to your options again. So click on the options tab up here, and then go to your output options. And you're going to go to output to file, because chances are if you're going to take this much time, you're going to want a file that you can take somewhere after you're all done. You can set your file size. So if I go to like a 1024 or larger, I'm just going to go to a 1024 by 768 for now. And it has path tracing. It says the number of passes is at 1,000. Seems like an awful lot. You'd be surprised. This is the kind of thing you need to be patient. Just turn it on and go away for the night. Come back in the morning and see what you have. So to expedite the feature for you, we saw a need to put in what we call checkpoint passes. Checkpoint passes, when checked, I would strongly suggest you always have that checked. What it will do is you're going to make 1,000 passes, but nothing says that the best image that you really, or as good an image as you want, didn't happen at 500 passes, because you really don't know until you see it. So what you do is you set it to 1,000, set it to 1,500, set it to 2,000. You can go up as high as 2,000 passes. So you set it to what you want, and then what happens is every 25 passes, we will save the image for you, and we put it away. So then another 25 passes goes and we save it, and that gives you the ability to go in and actually go through all of those the next day and actually say, okay, that's the one I like the most, okay? Because at some point you might say it starts to actually get it degrade a little bit if it's picking up colors that you don't want it to pick up, that sort of stuff. So this way you can decide. So I'm just going to take you really quickly out and show you where this sits. I'm going to change my screen over so that I can make sure that you do see what I'm seeing. So I'm going to come in here, and what this is if I was to go to File, Open, in my project, there's a folder called Checkpoint. The checkpoint is where we save the checkpoint drawings every 5 minutes. Now what I've done is I've taken, this is an exterior. I didn't do very many passes on this one, but you can see that when we save these out, we go with the name that I gave it. So it was exterior path trace, and then it puts an underscore in the number of passes behind it so you can tell exactly what it is, all right? And so this one's kind of grainy. And as I click through these, I'm up to 250 passes already. And then I think that's all I did was 250 on the exterior one. So it could get a little bit cleaner. I ran out of time, but that gives you an idea. That was a little bit of a dark one. I'm going to flip you over to the an interior that I worked through. So this is at 25 passes. And you can see that anywhere there's reflections, it takes a little bit longer to generate. So it's a little bit on the grainy side. Some of the stuff looks fine, as you would think, but I'm going to start clicking through these. So I'm at 250 now. You can see the glass is starting to get clearer. So if you just look over in this region here, you'll see the difference as you go through. I'm at, let's take us to 1,000. There's 1,000 passes, and that's pretty darn good. You can really start to pick up the reflections, the realistic lighting. Some of the pot lights are casting, the shadows, and so on. So that with the photon mapping, it really does generate a very appealing image, but you need to let it go. Just turn it on, go away, have lunch, go home for the night, and then come back the next day and you'll see these results. Now I didn't do a very large rendering. I did a 1024 by 768, so it's not taking my whole screen up. When you're generating a larger than your screen image, you will see it do the different portions of it on your screen and then jump to another part, and then it goes through that all over again each pass. So it takes a little while. But this gives you a good idea of what the path tracing does. So just to recap, what you need to remember, in order to find it, you need to be in ray traced mode. You won't find anything available. If I go to textured mode, where you spend most of your time because it's a reasonably good image and it's quick to generate. If I go into my mode options and I go to lighting here, it does not appear. It's not under custom. It's nowhere. All right. So you want to make sure that you've already switched over to ray traced mode. Go to your mode options, go to lighting, and then look for path tracing. Okay. When you're done with it, turn ray tracing back on, and I think you're only really going to use path tracing when you actually want to take the time and generate a final image, and you have the time to do so. All right. One other item I do want to cover before we finish up for the day, we've gotten through quite a bit here already, is projection snaps. Love them or hate them. I'm going to take you through and I'm going to show you what they do because they are very useful. You need to know when you want to use them, I think, is the biggest thing. So we all know that, or you likely know that if you hit F11, you get your snap modes up. It's also shown up here, the fourth icon in from the left, your cursor snap. So you turn that on, and we can turn this feature on or off by going to File, System Options, Cursor Options, and Enable Projection Snap is an option right there. So I'm showing you now. If it drives you crazy, turn it off, but I'm really going to strongly suggest that you give it a try. Be patient with it. Most people on the user forum, I'm quite active on that with, and the people that have given it some time have actually really embraced it. Yeah, at first you might think that they're getting in the way, but leave it on and see what you think. It's like anything that's new. It might not be automatically your favorite, but you might learn to love it. So I'm just going to go to electrical. I'm going to pick electrical symbols. I'm going to pick a ceiling light of some sort. So let's do a round dish. And I'm going to go to draw it in this room, for instance. So at some point, you're going to see that my projection snap is really close to my cursor, obviously, but you can see it down at the front corner. Watch down here and then watch halfway up this wall over here. And when it snaps on the vertical, it's finding something that I can snap to. So for instance, over here, it's going to, when it flashes there, I'm at the midpoint, and it's going to drop that directly in the middle of the room for me. A second click is required to actually place it, but that will get you the actual center of the room without a lot of dimensioning or anything like that. All right. You do have the option to center in room as well. You can do a center in room and click on it. So I wasn't perfect, but it moved it over a little bit there for me. Okay. Center between edges. These aren't new, but that will center things in a hallway, for instance, between the two sides. All right, so those are the main features I wanted to go through today. Kind of a fly right through them, but there was only one other one I think I really wanted to touch on, and it's not in the major features that were added in here. One of the other major features is the flat icons, obviously. They're pretty obvious when you look at them, a little more modern looking, a little in a lot of ways a lot easier to read. So those were added as well. The other one that I wanted to take a quick look at was if I go into interior mode, and I'm going to draw a crown mold in, I think. And I'm just going to do an auto trace and just drop that in. Click OK. I'm going to turn off my snaps. I'm going to edit the crown mold. So something that we've added is your ability to build up profiles like you would build up moldings. If you want to do a large crown mold, it's not likely one big crown mold. It's something that you would build up. So we've added in here the ability to go to add and just pick something else. So if you want to put in a cove, I'm just going to move this off so you can see this is what it looked like before. We had the American profile, which just happens to be the first one. I'm going to add the cove in, and you can see that it adds it in above, and then you have control, and sometimes it's just as easy just to stretch this wide. And you can change your custom heights, custom thicknesses on all these things, and you can build these up quite nicely if you choose to. You can just play with the different profiles and build them up. All right. So some a couple of the other items without going through them that are new to the 3D. We also have the 3D preview. So when I'm back, let's go back to the main floor. Drawing, and I'm going to edit something like, say, the front door. You can see it automatically pops me out, and I can actually spin around in this little preview down here. The preview can be undocked if you choose to. That's on an edit of that, but I can also get out of that, and I still have the 3D, and that can be moved around, and you can move around in it using your wheel on your mouse. But you can also undock this. You can make it bigger, smaller, whatever. I tend to leave it where it is. So if I want it back where I am, I move it back into the navigation bar, and I just click on this button here at the bottom, pointing down one. That will push it to the bottom of that navigation bar for me. Okay. For those of you using the 3D Connection mouse, we've added a speed state. If you're having any trouble with that, please let us know, because it's one of those things. I have a really hard time with it because I'm not a gamer, but those that can use it, it really helps them to move around in the 3D as well, and the speed controls are a huge bonus because some found it too fast, some found it too slow. This allows you to control it the way you want it to be. Okay. We already looked at the gable end, apply gable roof in 3D. A lot of these things are just automatic. The horizon changes and so on. Center in room command was added to 3D as well, like I just showed you in plan. You can do that in 3D. We've added some more paint swatches and so on. So what you're going to go through in I think next week or the week after, one of my colleagues will be taking the reins in the Friday fundamentals. He's going to hopefully take a really good look at the differences in the 2018 soft list module, because it's a huge change. He's one of the best people to take you through all that stuff. He does a lot of the work in it, so that'll be very informative. He will probably take you through the, if you have a chance to sign up and you have time, the cabinet features that have been added as well, because that's another major area that was covered, and it takes up a good part of an hour to cover those features. All right. Lastly, the micro keys are also something that you might want to consider if you're a laptop user. They are available by contacting our sales department. There isn't a way to do it online at this point, but that will probably come. So if you do want to look at that, you can check our website, but best of all, just call our sales department. I think you just pay for the exchange. They can straighten all that out with you, but they are much like the wireless mouse dongle or USB plug that sits in your laptop. It barely sticks out. They don't get broken off because they're so small. The one caveat to that is that they will only run 2018. So if you're running an earlier version and you upgrade and you need that access, they don't have that capability. They will run 2018 only. So something to think about. But if it's a second key, or if you're just new to 2018 and you want to change that to that key, if you don't already have one, something to consider. All right. So I thank you very much for joining me today. I apologize for our hiccups earlier on trying to get the audio to work, and I appreciate your patience in getting us going. I hope that you have learned a little bit more about what 2018 has to offer, and will embrace the changes that we have incorporated. We've put a lot of work into this version, and it's settling out quite nicely. It's still in the fairly early stages, and we're quite happy with the way it's running. So if you have any questions, please feel free contact us at technical support. You might also want to check out our SoftPlan 2018 user forum. It's a very informative place to get help from not only us, but more so from other users of the program that are very knowledgeable and helpful. All right, so once again, thank you for joining me today. I hope you have a good weekend, and take care.